precious than a gold mine, much brighter than the moon. There's a special feeling that makes our hearts go boom. Holding hands with strangers, stopping all the tears, safeguarding their future.
Okay. A very good morning to all of us and welcome to APA, the Home of Happiness. We are super excited to have you here, excited about the conversation we are about to have today on lifestyle diseases, which is very dear to our hearts. So, but before we have that, we'd like to take a few minutes to take you through our products and services, and that will be done by our very own Samuel Mogeke, our underwriting manager. So, Samuel, karibu. Take it over.
Hello and good morning, Yvonne. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to have this opportunity to introduce Apollo Group and the products that we offer. Allow me to share my screen. So again, a warm welcome to APA Apollo Group. My name is Samuel Mogeke. I am in the group within the general insurance in the medical section. Today, I have the opportunity and privilege to take you through who APA Apollo is. So welcome once again. The APA Apollo Group is one of the leading financial service providers in East Africa. We are offering financial and risk solutions to both corporates and individuals. Within the group, we have various divisions. For example, we have general insurance that focuses on, fire insurance, motor insurance, engineering, personal accidents, group personal accident covers, which basically are general insurance policies and solutions. Then we have health insurance, where we are also giving solutions to corporates, to individuals through our different products. For example, for individuals, we have Jamii Plus, we have Afya Nafuu, and for corporates, we tailor-make our solutions to meet the needs of our clients. And then we have life insurance, which deals with long-term covers, life policies, education policies, pension plans. We have wealth creation and asset management. APA Insurance is a subsidiary of Apollo Group and currently is the largest general insurer by market share in Kenya. APA Life, on the other hand, which also is a subsidiary of Apollo Group, is currently the fastest growing life insurer in Kenya, offering all classes of life insurance, as I mentioned earlier, for example, retirement savings, group life, credit life, and individual life plans. Our group, the composition, we are owned by Apollo Asset Investments, and this is made up of Swiss Re, who have invested in this. We have Kenma, which is a family group, and other investors. And as Apollo Investments, we own APA Insurance in Uganda, which focuses on general insurance and health insurance solutions. We have Apollo Asset Management. They help in creating wealth. So you want to invest, you want to grow your wealth, you need to call us. We'll help you to grow your wealth. Then we have Golden Coat, which is the group's property management section. We have APA Life, which does life insurance and pensions. And all this Apollo Investments, the holding group, has 100% shareholding. Then we have APA Insurance, which does the general insurance and health insurance. In Tanzania, we have a shareholding in Reliance Insurance. We have a 36% shareholding, and Reliance Insurance is focusing on general insurance solutions. Why would you consider APA or Apollo Group? One, we have a customer-centric service promise. We do have round-the-clock customer support. We have a history of over 100 years of financial stability. So you're dealing with a sound group. 3, you can join, purchase our products or get our solutions either directly or through intermediaries and business partners. So we work with brokers established in the market, agents, insurance consultants, and therefore you have a diverse way of engaging us. We have automated our processes, making it easy for you to interact with us. And 5, we are customer-centric. Our employees, our staff have been trained to embrace a customer-centric approach in how we deal with our clients. And 6, we have adopted digital solutions. It's a space that we're working on aggressively to make sure that you're able to interact with us online and through our mobile apps. Currently, we have a mobile app where you can purchase general insurance, like motor insurance, medical, and life products. This is Happiness app, which you can download from Google Store. Also, Apollo Group, we are trailblazers. We are very dynamic and very quick to adopt to challenges, or should we call them opportunities that come up. So we have been able to come up with insurance for the vulnerable. For example, we were the first insurance company to give solutions to HIV/AIDS. We were the first to give cover for senior citizens for medical products. And we have continued to come up with products that are sensitive to the market. For example, when we had COVID, the pandemic, we were the first insurer to pay claims within those covers to full limits. Further to that, we have insurance for the elderly people, and you are able to also purchase our products online. Again, APA Apollo Group, we were among the first to, we have paid the highest claim, the JKI claim. We are showing you how stable as a group we are in settling claims. I mean, we do what we say. Once you buy cover with us, we keep the promise. And this is one of the largest claims in the insurance market in Kenya. So to reach us, you can call us on 0709 let me take that again, 0709 912 777. Or on email, you can reach us on contact center at apollo.com. So I'm going to put these contacts in the chat. So as we go through today's presentation, you'll be able to get those contacts. We're looking forward to providing solutions to you, your business, your family, and to keep our promise, which is ensuring happiness. Thank you very much for making time today. I hand you over to Zainab.
Thank you so much, Samuel Mogeke. Thank you for taking us through the product this morning. We really appreciate, and I believe you are all welcomed to the APA family. We love to make people smile, and as we allow Dr. Martin Wanyoike to share his screen, let's have one of our own, Esther, come out to do the introduction for Dr. Martin Wanyoike. Dr. Martin, you can as well share your slides on the screen. I believe you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
As you share your screen, kindly let's have your introduction. Over to you, Esther.
Okay, thank you very much, Zainab, and our viewers. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Martin Wanyoike. Dr. Martin Wanyoike is a renowned cardiac physician, cardiologist in Kenya, and he's also one of the founders of Prime Care Heart Clinic. He's also known for his high and successful management in cardiac conditions and lifestyle diseases. So as APA Insurance, we continue to be key players in prevention and management of these illnesses. And we are so happy to have Dr. Anyuike today. Would like to welcome him to proceed. And let's keep our mind open and our hearts open to listen and to also ask any question without fear so that we can all learn. Thank you, Dr. Anyuike. You can take over.
Yes, just confirm. Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so just proceed. Yeah, so good morning, everyone. And great pleasure for me to be invited to share with you this topic on lifestyle diseases. Today is a very important day in the world because today is the World Heart Day with the theme of use heart, no heart. And this is just highlighting the need of exercise, physical exercise, remaining physically active, that way you're using your heart, then you prevent having heart problems. So the topic I'm going to present to you is mainly focusing on those lifestyle diseases, mainly those things which can occur, you can prevent by having the right lifestyle. So there'll be focus on high blood pressure, diabetes, heart attacks, strokes, also weight management, cholesterol, and also the general wellness of a human being, which we actually will focus on a lot and talk about being happy. And happiness is one of the ways of the lifestyle to prevent heart problems. So this is, of course, the slide of where we work in Nairobi Hospital. We are launched in our clinic now in 4th floor Anderson Center. And at Prime Care Heart Clinic, we work 6 cardiologists together. God has blessed us that we are managed to bond and work as one unit. And all these doctors, we, of course, are not able to fit all of us 6 at one day, but we always 4 working at any given time. So 2 of us concentrate in the inpatient, doing the rounds in the ward. In Nairobi Hospital, that's where we admit our patients. And then the other 2 concentrate on working on the outpatient. But in the afternoon, all the 4 of us are in. And of course, when you talk about doctors, the Holy Scriptures tell it all. And we see this time when Jesus was 12 years old, he was lost for 3 days. And after 3 days, they found him in the temple courts, sitting among doctors, listening to them and asking questions. And all those who heard him were astounded by his intelligence and replies. We say that the greatest physician on earth is God. We see even at the time of the creation of the earth, the creation of man, when we have the God himself, Jehovah, being the first surgeon where he did the operation on Adam, and then there came the woman, and that was the first, we call it the first chest surgery in the world was done by God himself. So happiness is everything, and if you are happy, whatever you are doing, whatever you are actually going to be very healthy. And you see this quote from Aristotle, somebody who lived before Jesus Christ, and he says that the ultimate purpose of human existence is to be happy. So if you achieve happiness, then you're actually very, very healthy. And the first ingredient, 7 ingredients of happiness, one of them is health and energy, and that's what you are focusing on. How can you be more healthy? How can you be more energetic? And when you have health and energy, you are a very happy person. Of course, there's the issues of peace of mind, loving relationships. You say that 85% of your happiness comes from how you relate with other people. Of course, financial freedom is that what we hold. When you get security, because you have secure through APA, then you are achieving that. It's part of achieving that financial freedom, which will make you not worry too much about money. Having all the goals and all the ideals, that is one of the things we want to tell young people, that if you have a worthy goal and you have all the ideal, you are very happy when you look at something you are looking for, attract, run on every day. Then you have self-knowledge and self-awareness. You know what your capacity are, what are your weaknesses, what challenges we have with the economy. We are getting affluent every day. And as we speak now, we know that anybody whose take-home salary is more than 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 is already affluent because they're able to afford all the food he requires. But in those affluent societies, Western Europe and America, the cause of death is usually heart attack, number 1. Number 2 is cancer. Number 3 is strokes. Heart attack and strokes are the same disease because they occur because of cholesterol. And that cholesterol comes very much because of the lifestyle we have. And they are the causes of premature death. Premature death is when, the Bible age is 70. When you are dying before the age of 70, it's premature. But 70 is not good enough because nowadays we know if you do it well, you can live even up to 100 years and beyond. We know one of our former Attorney General lived up to 103 years. The Queen's mother went up to 102 years. And ourselves, like myself, I always tell my people, I see here my children, the people we work with, that I target at 120 in good health. But of course, we always say, even when we are young, we always say that you aim at the sun, you reach the moon. So going to above 100 is possible. And we want that when you are 95, 96, 97, you're able to go to your grandchildren's wedding and you're able to dance there. That is the aim. And when you are reaching 90 and above, then we say you have died prematurely, but below 90 is premature. And all of us should aim to be at least 90. And the causes of premature death and disability is lack of physical exercise. So use heart, no heart. Overweight and diabetes, abnormal cholesterol, psychosocial stresses, negative emotions. I'm sure the screen is not showing. I don't know whatever reason. So maybe just do the screen share again. Also, they were showing the screen. Let's stop sharing. So. They're not moving.
Stop sharing. And then go back.
To myself.
Then share again. Click here. And then share. And then come back to it. Is it showing?
Did they stop sharing the other side? I'm sorry, I'm not sharing that. That's why I've been off. So did they stop sharing the other one?
Where's your PowerPoint? Just open the PowerPoint. Leave it there. Okay. Continue.
Hmm?
You can continue.
They are able to see. It is showing now.
Okay, it's okay. Continue. It's fine.
So it's okay. So I'm sorry I was not able to show the screen, but I believe now
Yes.
we are seeing it now. So we talk about cardiovascular disease. This is the diseases of the cardiovascular means diseases of the heart and the blood vessels. And the main blood vessels which cause problem in us are the blood vessels which supply blood to the heart. Those are the first branches of the main pipe from the heart called the aorta. And those branches, they go to the heart to give blood and give oxygen and glucose to the heart muscle. They are called coronary arteries. And the coronary arteries, they can get cholesterol deposits. And when they get the cholesterol deposits, the patient present to us with heart attack. They may come with what we call chronic stable angina, ischemic cardiomyopathy, sudden death. And those we'll talk in more details. You may also have the blood vessels in the brain being blocked by the cholesterol deposit. And that is what causes stroke, and what we call a stroke, which recovers within 24 hours, is called TIA, or transient ischemic attacks. Then the peripheral artery disease is when you have blood flow to the limbs being reduced because of cholesterol deposit. And all these cholesterol-related diseases, coronary artery disease, cerebrovascular disease, peripheral artery disease, they have one commonness, and the commonness is clogging of the blood vessels with the cholesterol deposits. And as we are going to see, those cholesterol deposits occur because of risk factors which will come clear as we go along. Then the heart muscle, which has any insult from any kind, whether it is a cholesterol deposit and there is a vessel which was blocked and the heart muscle was not working from a heart attack, from chronic stable angina, or even the most common cause of a weak heart in Africa is pressure which is not controlled well, then the heart muscle becomes weak. And the weakness of the heart muscle, the heart fails as a pump, and that is what we call heart failure. And heart failure is a very bad outcome. We have to use so many medicines to help the heart, to save the heart from getting worse and dying. And we always talk about polypharmacy, which is probably not a topic of discussion today. The use heart, no heart. We see it in the Genesis chapter 3, verse 19. As the fall of man in the Garden of Eden, God is telling Adam, by the sweat of your brow, you eat your food until you return to the ground. You need to be sweating. You need to have a physical exercise. You need to, before you eat your food, you need to sweat and do physical work. And of course, when we become affluent, we are using lifts, we are using cars. You have those of us who are even privileged to have that high affluence. They even have drivers who will even open the doors for them, and they are using little energy in themselves. And when they are going to have the meals, it's a buffet with all the ingredients of sweet food, nice foods, no limitation on the amount you are taking. And then we get in trouble because we are eating food, but we are not sweating. And sweating is one of the keys of good health. And that is the way we say, use heart, no heart. So the traditional and non-traditional risk factors of blood vessel and heart diseases, they are the traditional risk factors for atherosclerotic disease. That is the deposit of the blood vessels with cholesterol. We have diabetes, smoking, overweight and obesity, unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, high blood pressure, abnormal cholesterol. That's what we call dyslipidemias. Then you have also the psychosocial risk factors. Income is an issue, and people with low socioeconomic status, especially in Western countries, those are the ones we see they are more taking those fast foods, they are not exercising, and they're having a lot of stress in themselves. There is psychological stress, educational level, even employment status, physical and social environment also contributes to heart problems. And in a nutshell, the cardiovascular risk factor, they are those ones we call modifiable, where you can do something about it to make it not worse for you. High blood pressure, diabetes, physical inactivity, abnormal cholesterol, metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is when you have excess weight, especially that weight concentrated in the stomach. And you're going to see more details of what that means when you talk about metabolic syndrome. Cigarette smoking is the worst one can do. And really, when you smoke, especially when you're also having the other risk factors, especially things like diabetes, like committing suicide, because your blood vessels are damaged so much, and smoking itself has many problems you're going to see. When you have kidney problem of any kind, that also predisposed to heart problem. And we all know that even people with kidney disease, those ones going to undergo dialysis, those undergoing dialysis with kidney problem of any kind, their ultimate cause of death is actually a blood vessel disease. They get a heart attack or a stroke because the damage of the blood vessels is much more accelerated and much more advanced for those people who have any kidney disease of any kind. Then, of course, there's those non-modifiable age. When you're a female more than 60, when you are male more than 50, when you are a female more than 65, when you are male more than 55, your risk for coronary artery disease, blockages of the blood vessels become very high. Being a male is a risk factor. The females get protected because the estrogens, which are part of the hormones you get before you reach menopause, they protect against cholesterol deposit in the blood vessels. The postmenopausal, when you get postmenopausal, when some people get it even prematurely at the age of 35, and that one also predisposes to blockages of the blood vessels. Then there's the aspect of the family history, and the family history become relevant in that if you have a family member, brother, sister, siblings, who has a heart attack or stroke before the age of 65, female, and 55, male, we say premature, and that will make you be predisposed because of that genetic link. So the blood vessels are like this, that you see this normal one we are put here. The normal one, this is of a 20-year-old person, like a clean house, new house, where the vessels is smooth, clean, and has no deposit. And as we get to the age of 40, 45, male, 50, 55, female, you start getting that there is rust in the vessels. And this rust is very interesting because when that cholesterol deposit occurs, the vessels initially become wider, and we don't even have any narrowing occurring because of the adaptation. And this process may take 20, 30, 40 years, depending on the risk factors you have. And when now the cholesterol deposit build up, when it reaches 70% or above, that is the time now you may start now having problems. And blockages of the blood vessels to the heart, one of the three vessels to the heart, when there is cholesterol deposit more than 70%, people present with the chest pain, which come when they exert, and when they rest, the pain go away. That's what we call angina pectoris. Unfortunately, even a deposit small like 10% or less, that cholesterol deposit is 10%, which may even not make the vessel be narrowed at all. If you're a person who have those negative emotions of anger, those annoyance, being very aggressive in your life, you can cause a crack over the blood vessels. And that is why happiness we talk about as a good thing for you, because you get a crack over the blood vessel, which has a cholesterol deposit from 10% to even 2% to 20% can shift to 100%. And when it's 100%, the vessel is blocked completely. When it's blocked completely in the heart, that is a heart attack. When it happens in the brain, it's a stroke. So that you find that many of the times what we need to do is to do things to make sure the vessels don't crack, and that is done by making the cholesterol right, controlling the sugar properly, those ones who are diabetes to the targets, which you are going to see, keeping blood pressure to the target, and avoiding the negative emotions, because you may have somebody so well, completely normal, not had any problem, then one day he's already in a heart attack and in the process of death. So the cardiovascular risk factors are weight, cholesterol, smoking, family history, age, diabetes, being a male, hypertension, and many more we are not listing. And that what we are showing is that over the cholesterol deposit, the initial effect of the blood vessel deposit of the wall is that the vessel become wider. So you compensate very well. And it is only that time when there's a clot forming where the vessel change from 100% that all of a sudden you get very severe chest pain and a heart attack has occurred. So patients who come with coronary artery disease and present with heart attack, angina pectoris, heart failure, or sudden death. And sudden death, of course, come with a lot of drama in itself. So the blood vessels of the heart, this is the heart, the main pipe from the heart is called aorta. The first branches of the aorta are the coronary arteries. And these coronary arteries, there is the left coronary and the right coronary. And they are the ones you can get blockage. If the left coronary, you get a heart attack where the blockage is at the origin, that one is called left main coronary artery heart attack. And that one actually is invariably fatal. If you get a blockage there is nobody who can save you, because all the heart muscle dies, and when you lose more than 40% of the heart muscle, that's synonymous with it. This is a cholesterol deposit, and this occurs over years. And when it occurs over years, you find that many of the times you are very stable. When it is 70% or more, you're having that chest pain which come on exertion, angina. But a small deposit which may be even 10%, a crack can occur of the vessel when you are emotional, when you're angry, sometimes even spontaneously, sometimes when you are not controlled the pressure well, sometimes when you are not controlled the pressure well, sometimes because of smoking itself. Cigarette smoking, you trigger the crack to occur on the cholesterol deposit, and that you treat to those heart attacks. So when people get heart attack, they come to the emergency department. We have machines there, we have ECGs, we have echoes, we are monitoring, we are examining. And a person with a heart attack, we actually work like clockwork when you come with a heart attack. So when you come with a heart attack, the management, first of all, you have to come to us. So you have to recognize it is there and come early. And people coming early, if you come after 6 hours, the heart muscle is already there, there's very little we can do. But when you come to casualty, we have to do prompt diagnosis, and we call it door to needle time should be within 10 minutes. The diagnosis should be made, and then we should be solving that clot. If we choose medication, which is not the superior one, the superior one is when you go to the cath lab and crush that clot with a balloon. When you are solving with the medication, it can also be done. You always say needle time, door to needle time should be 30 minutes. Then the door to the balloon, where you put the balloon on the vessel, should be within 60 minutes of arrival to the hospital. And then, of course, you need to control the pain. People with heart attack, they have very severe pain. We need to monitor life-threatening electrical abnormalities. And in Western countries, when people get attacked, the ambulance picks them at the door, because we are monitoring those electrical abnormalities, because they trigger electrical storms and sudden death. But in our country, we haven't yet reached there. So in Europe, if you in the UK, you dial a number 911. When you get a heart attack, the ambulance come and pick for you. In America, it is 911. And those ambulances, when they come and pick you in the house, they start the treatment immediately. We are hoping that will happen in the country one time in our lifetime before we depart from this world. So a heart attack, you have the symptoms, you have chest pain, you call for help in Western countries. Unfortunately, in our country, we are unable to work at the emergency department, because you need to bring yourself. We are not able to pick you yet. We are not able to pick you from the house. And then we take you to ICU or to the cath lab. And the cath lab is the theater where we actually open those vessels. It is the process that you see an occluded vessel has a clot. That is when you get a heart attack or a stroke. And you give medicine for dissolving the clot, is called thrombolytics. But the best way of managing this patient is when you put a balloon over that cholesterol deposit and crush it. That has the best outcome. And it allows the heart muscle the flow to be restored, and it is saved quickly, and the safety is better. When you use the thrombolytics, the opening of the vessel is probably 50%, but this one is 100% and has a better outcome from the studies. So this is a theater cath lab where we do those procedures. It's done when you are talking to the patient. We actually do just local anesthetic, and we say that the patient is part of our team when you are managing these conditions. So the risk factors of those heart attack, one of them is cholesterol, and the cholesterol levels, the figures we have given here is for a healthy 40-year-old male. And this for the healthy one is where you talk about total being less than 5, LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol less than 3, and the high density cholesterol, this is a good cholesterol more than 1, and triglycerides less than 1.0. But of course, depending on many of these factors, if you are diabetic, you are more than 55, you are more than 60 female, we have different targets. And many of the times you find the one we target is the LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. When you have many of these factors like diabetes, high blood pressure, maybe you smoke, we usually target a level of 1.8. And those people who have already had a heart attack and you are dealing with what is called secondary prevention, you are preventing you from getting a second heart attack, the target LDL is 1.4. And those targets need to be met for somebody to be actually safe. People with diabetes, people with depression, people who smoke, the targets are lower, but this is of a healthy 40-year-old person. We also need to do the BMI, and the BMI will help us know whether you have metabolic syndrome. And BMI is very simple: weight in kilos divided by height in meters squared. And to get your ideal weight is just multiplying your 25, which is a maximum BMI. 25 by height in meters squared gives you a expected weight at your height. And the target weight is at 25 times height in meters squared. And then we're also very interested in abdominal fat, because abdominal fat is one which causes problem. And waist circumference for male should be ideally less than 94 and female less than 80 centimeters. And abdominal fat is the main problem. So this disease called metabolic syndrome is where you have excess weight, and especially you have weight in the abdomen. And that weight in the abdomen is what is called abdominal obesity. And when you have abdominal obesity, it usually comes because you are taking too much calories than the body needs, and you're also physically inactive. And when you take too much calories, you are physically inactive, the one we call lifestyle syndrome, where those young people like enjoying their Saturday afternoon with meat and ugali and all those things which people like to take. And then they're not physically active. If you are taking breakfast or buffet, best for breakfast, there is sausage, toast, there is egg, there is bread, there is sugar, you get obesity. And obesity, especially in the abdomen, causes a lot of chemicals which are released by that abdominal fat. And that abdominal chemicals causes increased clot formation in arteries. It causes heart attack and strokes. The chemicals released by the abdominal fat causes abnormal cholesterol that you have in the cholesterol, which enters the blood vessel more easily. You have also more injury to the blood vessels. There's inflammation. There is injury to the vessels because of those toxic chemicals. Then those toxic chemicals being produced by the abdominal fat causes also insulin in the body not work. And when the insulin is not working, you have what is called insulin resistance. Over time, that brings what is called pre-diabetic state, where we say diabetes on the way, which we actually diagnose that one by checking your sugar for 3 months. When you check your sugar for 3 months and see it is actually between 5.7 to 6.5, we say you are pre-diabetic. Or we do a random sugar of 7.8 to 11, we say pre-diabetic. When you do a fasting sugar between 5.6 to 7, we say you are pre-diabetic. And over time, as you continue getting injury to the body cells and the cells which make insulin, you eventually get type 2 diabetes, which you see how we diagnose it later on. Then when you have excess insulin circulation, because of the resistance, you have retention of water, there is increase in the sympathetic tone of the body, there is increased blood vessel thickening, and eventually people get high blood pressure. So you find somebody, because of the weight in the abdomen, he has that weight, he has a tendency to clot formation, so that even the disease like clot, DVT, venous thrombosis you get after being in hospital, strokes, heart attack are more. They have the same people who have diabetes. They are the same people who have high blood pressure. And when you have all of them together, then you are hit very hard. So you can identify whether you are likely to have metabolic syndrome by seeing your shape. If your shape is like a nipple, where your fat is in the center, in the abdomen, you are likely to have metabolic syndrome. Whereas if you are shaped like a pear, where the weight is in the hips, then you are likely to have metabolic syndrome. So hypertension, diabetes, and high abnormal cholesterol, they tend to occur in that person who has abdominal fat, and that predisposes you to heart attack and strokes. So the lifestyle diseases, the prevention of cardiovascular diseases, the Chinese proverb which says that superior doctor prevents sickness, mediocre doctor attends to impending sickness, and the inferior doctor treats actual diseases. So one we say is an inferior doctor if you are treating the disease other than preventing. And the way cardiovascular diseases are prevented, there is what we call primordial prevention. That is when you prevent onset of risk factors. And this is when you focus on children in nursery school, in Sunday school. You are telling them the dangers of smoking, the dangers of not having weight, the dangers of being physically inactive, so that they don't develop that metabolic syndrome. Then the primary prevention is when you are working on situation where you are going to prevent a heart attack and stroke on that person who is already at risk, that person who has a smoker, somebody who has high blood pressure, somebody who has diabetes, somebody who has high cholesterol, somebody who is physically active. There are many things we can do to prevent the first heart attack and stroke by managing those risk factors. Then there's a secondary prevention where we prevent a second stroke, and that is why you find drugs like aspirin working very well, and also the medicine for cholesterol being given and achieving certain targets so that a second heart attack does not occur. Then there are 9 factors we say of optimal cardiovascular health. So you should avoid smoking, avoid abdominal obesity, avoid alcohol consumption, avoid high cholesterol diets, avoid hypertension, avoid diabetes, and avoid the stress. And then you should also increase intake of fruits and vegetables and physical activity. And so for the blood pressure, we define pressure as that when it's above 130/80 for those ones less than 60 years. And those ones who are above 60 years, we target 140/90. And the pressure itself has a lot of harm to the body. These are the one we call target organ damage. The pressure, when it's not controlled well, we call it a silent killer, because when the pressure is high, you feel completely normal, doing your work, just continuing on, and the pressure sometimes can even be very high. The normal pressure is 130/80 below the age of 60, 140/90 after the age of 60. But we see some people even walking here with a pressure of 250/140. And those pressures, when they are high like that, they are damaging the organs so much. There's a risk of getting a stroke, there's a risk of eye damage, there's a risk of heart damage. The heart damage may occur in 2 prongs. You can have more deposit of the cholesterol in the coronary artery, so you are likely to get heart attack and stroke. But the worst is what is the most common cause of heart failure in Africa, where you get heart failure, heart muscle weakness, because the pressure was not controlled well. And that is a major insult, and something which we need to really make sure we control the pressure so that we don't get heart failure. Kidney damage, many people going for dialysis is because they had high blood pressure and they ignored it and they refused to have the treatment. Then the blood vessels to the leg, they can also be deposited cholesterol by the when the pressure is not controlled well. So when the way we manage high blood pressure, we actually have 6 principles, and probably don't have a lot of time to go to the details, but we take a lot of time to give patient education and to motivate them to take medication. We identify to them what their target blood pressure, as you say, if you are less than 60 years, we target 130/80. Actually, we give a figure of 120/70 to 130/80. Whereas we are above 60 years old, we target a pressure of between 120/70 to 140/90. And those targets we want people to know so that whatever the pressure is being measured, even elsewhere, they know what it is and whether they are in the target, because reaching the target is what will protect the blood vessels from injury. Then we need to identify the contributing factors, and that is lifestyle adherence. We're going to talk about lifestyle later on. The secondary causes of hypertension, interfering drugs, those you talk about, and there are drugs which make the pressure go up. And the most notorious ones are the painkillers. Painkillers other than Panadols and Panadol only. The others, of course, there is one we call Tramadol, which we also use, but sometimes causes a lot of nausea. But the non-steroidals are the diclofenac, ibuprofen, all those causes the pressure to go up. There are people also use steroids. Sometimes we are using them for joint diseases, sometimes to control asthma, which is very difficult. People with the gout, sometimes they know that prednisone helps. There is a management for people with diabetes, the cardiovascular, cholesterol. If you are diabetic, we need to control the encourage you to do exercise. If you are a smoker, we need to adapt, and we need to actually give you that lifestyle where you are physically active. Then the management on their need, their medicine you need to give people in the childbearing age, because we don't want those ones who can affect the pregnancy. There are those ones you want to give people who are elderly, people who are asthmatic, their medicine you avoid. People who have kidney failure, their medicine you avoid. People who have heart failure, their medicine you want to bring in. And all that is knowledge available to all of us, and we're able to give it accordingly. These are the therapeutic lifestyle changes. When you're using the therapeutic lifestyle changes, you prevent yourself from getting high blood pressure. And when you're already having blood pressure, you protect you from progression of the blood pressure, and you protect yourself from actually having the pressure.
Daktari, I think you can hear me.
Yes.
We need to move a bit slowly. We are missing out on important points.
I'm too fast.
You're too fast.
Okay, fine. I'll go slow. Nitaenda most. Okay,
Sawa,
sawa.
daktari.
We don't need the time. How much time do we have? I know now it is 10 minutes to 9. What time are you supposed to finish?
Just move at your pace, daktari. Don't harakish.
Okay,
But
fine.
we need to go you to the previous slide. We missed you on that because we lost you, yeah?
Just that one. So that one of the
Yeah.
management of hypertension principles. So I can go through that again.
Yeah, this one, you can just go
This
through
is an
that and then
important one. How do we manage high blood pressure? The first point
Yes.
we do for patient when he's diagnosed to have blood pressure, we take a lot of time with the patient. We even want to bring their wife, their children, so that we talk to them together, so that we give them the education about blood pressure. We help them know that pressure, we treat it, is a silent killer. When the pressure is high, you are completely normal, you are continuing your life, and you are not knowing anything is wrong. And as I've said, people even come here with a pressure of 250 over 140, and they are walking and they are normal. But that type of pressure is damaging the organs so much. So we educate the patient to know that pressure itself is not making you feel unwell in any way, but is damaging the organs that we have shown earlier. So that information is given. And then we need to motivate them the need for taking the medication, that they're understanding that if we increase the pressure to the target, we protect against the damage and the harm. Every patient who has high blood pressure, we give them the target blood pressure. If you are coming and your age is say 50, we tell you that your pressure should be between 120 over 70. We write it for you, and we tell you to internalize it and put it even in your phone, so that whenever you are being done the pressure, you know what is the right pressure for you. If you are 70 years old, we tell you the pressure should be between 120 over 70 to 140 over 90, so that wherever you are, you know what's supposed to be when you measure the pressure. Then people with blood pressure, we identify for them the contributing factors. Their lifestyle, are they adhering to the lifestyle? Are they having a secondary cause of hypertension? The people who get 10% of people with high blood pressure have a cause we can identify, like narrowing of the blood vessels to the kidney damage for whatever cause to make the pressure go up. Sometimes we have narrowing of the vessel from the aorta, the main pipe from the heart called aorta may be narrowed somewhere. We see it more in the younger people who have high blood pressure. Sometimes there's a gland on top of the kidney called the adrenal gland, may be overactive. We call it pheochromocytoma. And then, of course, there are those interfering drugs. And we said the common ones are the medicine for pain, people who use for joint pain, like diclofenac, Idocid, Brufen. Those causes the pressure to go up. And the most common one we have in this country is the steroids, the prednisone, which use it. Sometimes people use it for gout. Sometimes they use it for asthma. And sometimes people use it because it helps them a lot. Many of those herbal remedies have actually steroids that has been shown by studies. And many of the times steroids can treat any disease, including stress. If you even disagree with your spouse, you may find if you're given steroids, you feel better. And so they are commonly used, and they cause high pressure. Then, of course, the management of pressure, you must do cardiovascular risk management. And that is when you identify a patient who has pressure. Does he have diabetes? Manage the diabetes to the target. Is the patient a smoker? Encourage them that when the time they leave the office, they'll never smoke again. The other part of risk management is the cholesterol. You need to know what their cholesterol, and you need to treat them to a certain target. If they are physically inactive, you advise them to be physically active. And if they're having stress, you need to manage their stress as well. Then the number 5 is therapeutic lifestyle changes, which you are going to see in the next slide, what to do in therapeutic lifestyle changes. Then number 6 is the drug. Before you give the drug, there are so many things we need to do. And we tell our young doctors that before the drug, educate the patient, look at the risk factors, identify for them the target, and give them the lifestyle changes. And the lifestyle changes is one here. And we say that lifestyle changes prevent you from getting high blood pressure in the first place. And when you're already having the blood pressure, it makes you not require more medicine as you move along. So the first therapeutic lifestyle changes you need to do is to reduce the weight to ideal. And there's that BMI of 18 to 25 is the ideal. And you say to know your weight, you just need to multiply 25 with your height in meters squared. You need to take low salt diet, low cholesterol diet, high potassium. The low salt diet, we can go to details on it, and low cholesterol diet, we go to details on it. But those are available, and we can give them. The high potassium diet, you achieve it by taking a lot of fruits and vegetables. Being physically active, and you want that a brisk walk 7 days a week, and the brisk walk is the one we want. And then also resistant exercise, when you do stress ups, some little bit of weightlifting also helps when you do it twice a week. Then you need to reduce ethanol consumption. We say there's no medical benefit of alcohol. People who are not taking alcohol should think that way. Those who are taking alcohol should be very cautious that if you are a male, not more than 1 unit 3 times a week, and 1 unit is 1 glass of wine 100 ml, 1 can of Tusker, the 300 ml. Beyond that, for a female, is beyond the figure we allow. Those ones who are taking men not more than 2, because men are bigger in size, that's why they are giving allowed more. Then you should avoid active and passive smoking. So people smoking near you is dangerous. If you are smoking, it's very dangerous. Then you need to adapt the diet. We call it dietary approaches to stop hypertension. The study which was done in America, and this reduces the blood pressure even up to like 2 drugs, where you may reduce pressure from 15/8. This is what 2 drugs may do. And that is when you take plenty of fruits and vegetables, you take a low-fat diet, low-fat dairy products, and the diet which is low in saturated fat. That fat which is solid fat, and the salad oil is the one which is better when you take your food in it. So smoking, of course, smoking, I don't need to say much. I've already talked much about smoking. And you always said, do you smoke, or are you a passive smoker? And these are the risks of smoking. It increases the risk of heart attack and strokes, causes lung cancer, causes impotence and fertility, causes premature death, and increases the risk of hypertension, and increases the risk of peripheral artery disease. And physical fitness is the way. Exercise, we do some exercise tests in the office to actually see whether you are fit to exercise, and then also it helps us to screen whether you have that blockages of the blood vessels to the heart. Remember what I say, that it's only when you get 70% blockage that you may present with symptoms. Sometimes you have to provoke it by making you walk on the treadmill when you are exercising, when you are testing you, and see whether the blockage is there. And this is one of the things we encourage as a part of annual medical checkup. Those ones who have risk factors, 40 years is enough for you to say you have risk factor because of age, and especially when you have diabetes, especially when you smoke, especially when you have high blood pressure, especially when you have high cholesterol, especially when you are overweight, especially when you are sedentary. Physical exercise is good, but before you do it, to screen and make sure it's safe for you, that you're not going to collapse in Parklands Club or wherever you go, as some people collapse. You do an exercise stress test once a year. This is about diabetes, and probably because of time, we may not dwell on that because we don't want to take all your time, and I'm sure Zainab can arrange for another conference like this later. But the diabetes is type 1 and type 2. We diagnose diabetes by the fasting sugar or sugar between the meals, and the medicine for diabetes are available, and they are all available. When the diabetes is present, there are targets we need to meet to ensure that you don't have damage to the blood vessels. The sugar for 3 months is called HbA1c. Those who are diabetes know about it. You want to do it ideally at least twice a year, at least once a year, and then it is a risk. It's the one which will show you the risk of stroke, the risk of heart attack, the risk of kidney damage, the risk of the damage to the eye, and you need to keep it ideally less than 7. There is a target for sugar before breakfast, the sugar between the meals. The LDL cholesterol for diabetes, you want to be less than 1.8. If they're even having many risk factors, that like you have diabetes, you have also high blood pressure, you have also high cholesterol, it may even change to 1.4. There's a target of the bad cholesterol, the good cholesterol called LDL should be more than 1. Triglycerides should be less than 1.8. Then the pressure should be less than 130/80. There's a part of the flu vaccine and pneumonia vaccine which should be actually be given as a part of prevention of the heart damage to the by the diabetes. This is the diet, of course. We see there are a lot of fruits and vegetables. Fish is also there. You can see the glass of wine there. We don't encourage people to take alcohol. There are some who they even they try to take alcohol like this. They get hooked and the family is broken. So really the message is that alcohol don't take, and that health benefit result of alcohol really outweighs the risk, which is so much. And when you are not taking alcohol, kindly stay that way. But take a lot of fruits and vegetables. Use liquid oil like this one shown here, and that way then you live longer, you live more healthy. So I think we are coming to an end. One of the things we said is happiness, and the happiness is one of the ways of maintaining the blood vessel health. And the happiness, of course, you avoid unhappiness by avoiding the unhappy and the unlucky people. There are people who are just having the negative emotions in them. Their behavior makes them be unlucky, and when you start living with them, making them your friends, they infect you with that unhappiness. Then, of course, the best way of life is seeking positive emotion, where you know there is love, forgiveness, compassion, humility, fairness, kindness, golden rule of Jesus Christ, honesty, and justice. When that is part of your day-to-day life, much as the church people tell us that every day, you actually make your heart very healthy, because when you do that, you release a chemical in the blood vessels called nitric oxide, which prevent the deposit of the cholesterol, which make you not age faster, which makes your heart actually more healthier and your general health improve. The worst you can do is to actually look for the negative emotions. If you're always angry, you hate people, you are envious, you are jealous, you are fearful, you are superstitious, you are greedy and resentful. If you resent people, you are having anger in you. This will trigger heart attacks. You cause more cholesterol to enter your blood vessels, and you bring you to premature death and making you unlikely to reach that age of 90 we talked about. Then, of course, appreciating artwork, God's artwork, enjoying nature, you make you also have those chemical release in the blood vessels. You protect against the damage to the blood vessels. And when you enjoy the fruits of the Holy Spirit, that love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control, this you see in the Galatians chapter 5, verse 22-23. Those ones, they are part of you. I'm not a preacher, but when we know that those things are part of your life, your blood vessels are happy and healthy. And of course, when you are serving others, those who wish to become great must be willing to serve. And this is Jesus Christ himself saying, whoever wants to be great among you must be a servant, and whoever wants to be first must be a slave to all. So annual medical checkup involves a complete history and physical examination. We take your weight, height, and BMI and waist circumference. And we said that for male should be less than 94, female less than 80. We do an ECG. This is electrocardiogram to see the electrical activity of the heart. These are the lab tests. You do kidney function, liver, thyroid, amount of blood is called hemogram. Sugar, we always do as an annual checkup at the age of 40. We check your cholesterol. There are those tumor markers. We do CA, CA19-9, PSA. Those are screening various cancers. The CA125 for the cancer of the ovary, female, pap smear and mammogram can also be done. And echo and stress tests, those are elective tests for patients who we suspect have cardiovascular disease. So coming to an end, the ABCD of prevention of heart attacks and strokes. Number one is the aspirin aspect. Of course, we talk about aspirin. In the past, we used to say aspirin generously, but now we know if you don't have already clogged vessels documented, the aspirin may harm you because it causes more bleeding. But assessing the risk to know whether you need the medicine for cholesterol is part of the armamentarium of protecting heart problem. Then you must know your B is the blood pressure. And we say that pressure is 130 over 80 or below for those ones who are 60 years and below. Those above 60 is 140 over 90. Cholesterol you need to know, and cholesterol you want to start screening at the age of 20. And there are people who have cholesterol very high, not because they're taking a lot of that heart diet with high cholesterol, the red meat, the eggs, the full cream dairy products. They have high cholesterol because genetically they are predisposed, because their liver is making so much cholesterol, and this is something they have inherited from their parents. And the way to know about it is just by measuring it. Cigarette is the worst you can do for negative health, and really what we advocate is zero tobacco. Then you must know your diet, your weight, and emphasis on vegetables, fruits, nuts, legumes, fish, and whole grains will be more healthy. Then diabetes, you must screen for diabetes by doing your sugar every year, at least for people who are 40 years and above. If you have the symptoms of diabetes where you have passing a lot of urine, feeling very thirsty, losing weight, feeling tired, fatigued, one of the tests you do as a routine when somebody is saying he's feeling weak is just the sugar test, which actually is available here in the office. Then regular exercise and that 30 kilometers brisk walk at least 5 days in a week would help you live longer and better. And the ABC, these are the characteristics of healthy people at the age of 40. We talk about 035 130 530. So number 10 is zero tobacco, no initiating smoking, no passive smoking, don't let anybody smoke near you. Smoking should be 0. 3 kilometer brisk walk for 30 minutes daily. You make you live longer. 5 portions of fruits and vegetables every day. That is achievable because you have a lot of fruits and vegetables in this country. Keeping the pressure below 130 over 80 for those ones who are 60 years and below. Above 60 years, 140 over 90. That figure you need to know. Then for a healthy 40-year-old, the total cholesterol should be less than 5. Those ones who are diabetes, who are probably more than 55, males, 60 females, should aim at 4.5. Those ones who are already having blockages of the vessels to the heart, they have had a stroke, the total cholesterol should be kept below 4.0. Whereas the bad cholesterol called LDL at the age of 40, we should keep it below 3. If you are 55 male, 60 female, we aim at a figure of actually 1.8. And those ones who already had blockages to the heart and they have had a heart attack or stroke, the target LDL, and then we let them also, they know that should be less than 1.4. Then the last 0 is avoiding overweight, diabetes, avoiding, and also avoiding stress. And then, of course, there's a part of the vaccines. There are the vaccines of influenza and pneumonia. These are indicated for people 65 years and above, people who have heart failure, people who have chronic lung disease like asthma, COPD, renal failure patients, HIV patients, diabetes, and also health workers, because it prevents infecting the other people. So the take-home message, ladies and gentlemen, is that ideally for you to avoid lifestyle diseases, have regular annual medical checkup, maintain ideal weight, and you know your weight is that 25 times height in meters squared. Maintain physical fitness, that is brisk walk 3 kilometers. This is actually the 3 kilometers, 30 minutes every day. Take a lot of fruits and vegetables, full grain, and some fish, at least fish once a week. Never initiate smoking and avoid secondary smoke. Then take diet of low salt, low cholesterol, high potassium diet, and influenza vaccine annually, and pneumococcal vaccine once in a lifetime for the elderly, more than 65 years old, diabetes, heart failure, people with heart stroke, people with HIV, chronic kidney disease, who have had heart attack and strokes. And then the final message for me is from the Luke's Gospel, that the good Lord said that more of what you have, more you added. The more you don't have, even the little is taken away. So this one, we talk more in terms of the weight, because if the weight is very high, your body has very strong forces to increase that weight. Unfortunately, those people whose weight is very low, there are people with a BMI less than 18. There are very few. There are some born that way, and they really want to gain weight, and they try, and nothing is coming. And they take all the food, they take all the oils, nothing is coming, because if you have little of something, that little is taken away. So you should really always watch the weight, so that you never allow the weight to come, that your weight becomes big like this person here. I think that's the end of the talk, Zainab.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daktari. That person,
Amekula.
just before Amekula. Just before we go to the questions, as here at APA, we are committed to help you in managing your wellness, and we are number one in the wellness. We offer wellnesses. All our clients are covered for annual wellness. It's our number one key advice, that you must go for annual checkups, and APA Insurance pays for your annual checkup. So please, if you are with us and you are now logged in, kindly make sure you call us so that you go for your annual wellness checkup, as Daktari has said. Now, Daktari, we have a question. I think we'll have like 15 minutes to answer to the questions, and I'll start with one of our viewers. Do issues related to asthma cause lifestyle? Are they caused by lifestyle issues if a person is asthmatic?
Yeah, of course it would, because if you are predisposed to have asthma, which sometimes comes from genetics, and that tendency, which we actually learned when we are young doctors, but medical students, is that like 10% of the population, they have the allergy tendency, and those allergy tendencies may manifest as asthma, manifest as skin diseases where you get itchiness, the one called eczema, may manifest with itchiness in the eyes, which we call allergic conjunctivitis, or even the allergy to the nose, what is called allergic rhinitis. All those are present actually in 10% of the population. But now the lifestyle come in this aspect, especially the smoking. If you smoke and you are having now that smoke in your system, it will cause more allergy to be more. And that you find that if you're an asthmatic and you are smoking, then your problem will be actually worsened. And so the lifestyle aspect is mainly in that cigarette, that people who are asthmatic, if they smoke, they get a lot of trouble. Of course, people who smoke for a long time, they eventually get damage to the lung. They get a condition called chronic obstructive airway disease called COPD. And those ones, eventually, many of them end up requiring oxygen, because the oxygen in the atmosphere, that 21% is not enough for their lungs. We need to improve their environmental oxygen in the lungs to 30% by giving them oxygen. They have to carry cylinders along with them. And we always say that people who smoke, their sins are never forgiven, because when you smoke, even those 10 years you did when you are young, when you reach that age of 90, where the one we said about 1995, you may start now seeing that the damage of the lung is occurring there. Yeah. So asthmatic, of course, the environmental allergen, of course, stress also makes the asthma worse. Any disease, actually, if you have stress, it will become much more, because the body ability to actually tolerate any sickness is worsened by stress. So asthma, no smoking, don't be a smoker, avoid, of course, the allergen in the environment, those ones which you may find maybe sometimes people use carpets, they have pets in the house, they bring problem. But then stress also is a major issue, and we find stress triggering those asthmatic attacks. And then, of course, asthmatic are people we advocate also the use of pneumococcal vaccine and influenza vaccine, even when they are less than 65, because it protects other future attacks. Any other questions, Zainab?
Questions, Dr. I'm trying to see which one can can ask a question for Minimo. Now, we have a client who has asked, she actually takes her medication wherever necessary. That is if she feels when yes, blood pressure.
No, that one is the most general thing you can do. I think that one we can answer it. We see it very common. And in fact, one of the, when you talk about the literature on management of high blood pressure, of course, we use the, like when we are managing pressure, we use the guidelines from a pilgrimage you do every year. We go to Europe for a conference called European Society of Cardiology Congress. There's also another one in America called American College of Cardiology Congress. And through those organizations, they have international guidelines of management of all the medical conditions. And we always say that for you to manage any medical condition is the same way, like if you want to go to heaven, you read the Bible. If you read the guidelines, you get it right. And all those guidelines recommend people to have a blood pressure machine, and they measure the pressure at home. And that is what most people do because they know, they have even told about it. But practically, we find ourselves, because, of course, we have our own peculiarity as Black people. We have our own ways of doing things. And we find that ourselves from experience, of course, it would have been good if we even did a study and published it. We find that those people who have a blood pressure machine, they are measuring the pressure at home. That is their biggest enemy for two reasons. One, many of the times when the pressure is being measured, you need to be relaxed in a good way. You need not to be anxious. And when the pressure is measured when you're anxious, you tend to find that one going high. Then the worst is that person whose pressure is very nice, he's cool, he's able to measure it, and he's seeing all the pressure is that figure I'm saying between 120/70 to 130/80. So they just say, now, if they miss at medicine one day and see, okay, that pressure is even normal even the following day, and they continue, and then they reach a point where they say, since I'm measuring the pressure, I don't need to take the medicine. And many of the times you find that patient you are mentioning maybe is measuring her own pressure at home, and that is the reason why he has stopped the medication. What is known is that pressure doesn't go away. There are very few cases where the pressure can go away. If, like that person I presented who weight may be 160 kilos, if he's done a surgery which reverses her weight from 160 kilos to 80 kilos, then diabetes, high blood pressure most of the time goes away. But loss of weight to that level is really very rare. And we have seen even those people who are done bypasses, there are times when you may reverse. But ordinarily, when you do your lifestyle, maybe you lose the weight 3 kilos, 5 kilos, and it's very unlikely for the pressure to be reversed. In any case, as you get older, the pressure gets worse. So the importance of taking medicine every day is real. The people who take medication for blood pressure, it has been shown in medical literature that when you have taken medicine continuously, when you stop, sometimes it can take a whole month before the pressure start rising again. And many of the times when people use their medicine on and off, they reach a point where the pressure goes up without knowing. It is never meant, there is nobody who has done a study showing that people benefit when you're using it on and off. The benefit of the pressure is when you take it continuously, that you maintain the pressure normal throughout. Because those ones who take on and off, sometimes it fluctuates, goes up and hits the organ and cause the damage. So our recommendation is that whoever is seeing that person taking the medicine every day, consult the doctor and get the advice properly that the medicine should be taken all the time, even when it is normal. The only time you should be concerned with your blood pressure is if you over control it, if it is below 120/70. And in the case like that one, the first thing is you don't rely with your blood pressure machine you have at home. We rely on you going to a healthy setup where it is done in the environment which is right, and then confirm that that one we are saying below 120/70 is correct. Then when that is correct, then we scale down the medicine. Many of the people who are on the medicine for blood pressure, they're actually combinations. Some of them have even 5 medication. And what you do is then you confirm that it is below 120/70 is to reduce the medication, but not actually cutting off completely, and you monitor. The time when you may actually find you may have to stop the medication is that person whose pressure medication was started, but it was probably a mistake. Remember also, I'm saying I'm talking too much, but still making the message go. There are people who have high pressure only in the doctor's office. We call it white coat hypertension. And those ones with white coat hypertension, the pressure should not be treated because only in the environment. And obviously, those situations where maybe somebody diagnosed white coat hypertension and started the medication, when it is actually realized it's not pressure, it was not your pressure, then one may stop the medication. But you really need to be guided by a very competent doctor so that you don't make a mistake. We say high pressure is a silent killer, causing strokes, heart attacks, heart failure, kidney damage, blockages to the blood vessels of the legs. And when that happens, it's usually too late. So the best thing is making sure that if the pressure is diagnosed, don't make the wrong decisions alone. Be guided, because many doctors who can manage pressure are very many available in this country. I think I have exhausted the answer to that question, Zainab.
Okay, Daktari, I'm going to combine two questions here. I'm seeing someone has asked that we explain in layman the difference between heart attack and heart failure. We can also join it with another question in regards to the heart attack. The question is, why are we having very many fit young people dying of heart attack? Could it be a side effect of the COVID vaccine? Doctor, you can take that.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think, can I see you share the slide? Are you able to see that stroke of a heart attack, that slide? Are you seeing it? Zainab?
We can see, yes, we can see it, Dr.
This is the one to explain very well what is a heart attack. It is showing very, very clearly here. When you have many risk factors, and you can see the blood vessel here, when you are young, 20 years old, smooth and nice. When you're at the age of 40, there's cholesterol deposits. The negative emotions make you to have a crack of a cholesterol deposit. And when the crack occurs, a clot forms on top. When you get a clot on top of a blood vessel which has cholesterol, then the vessel blocks 100%. So heart attack, which we call in medical terms myocardial infarction, is a situation where you have a blockage of the blood vessel to the heart, which one of the three vessels, which actually we have shown in another slide here, these three vessels, actually we call them three vessels because from the left side of the heart, this one we call left main coronary artery is divided into two immediately. One is called left anterior descending, the other one is called circumflex. So when you talk about heart attacks, it is either the LAD, the left anterior descending, or the circumflex vessel or the right coronary, which has a deposit of cholesterol, and that deposit of cholesterol has created a situation where the blockage is 100%. When the blockage is 100% in any of the heart muscle, then there is an area of the heart which is not getting blood supply. When there is no blood supply to a heart muscle, then the heart muscle starts dying. When you have heart muscle death because there's problem of blood supply, that is what is called a heart attack. Heart attack, also called acute myocardial infarction, it presents, as I said, with a lot of drama, because when you get pain like that, it's a continuous pain. You feel like an elephant is sitting on your chest. And the reason why it occurs is because of risk factors. The young men getting of heart attack, you can still combine that question. We don't think it is to do with the COVID vaccine, because they have been occurring even before the COVID came. And as what is called epidemiological transition in this country, it is ongoing, and we know that we are more people reaching the age of 30, 35, where their cholesterol is very high. Because of the weight problems, we have more of that metabolic syndrome and the risk factors. We are seeing more diabetes, we are seeing more pressure, we are seeing more physically inactive, and we are seeing more overweight in younger people. And those ones, when you are combining them in one person, and as we showed there, the part of the that metabolic syndrome, where we said that you have one person, because of the weight, you have abnormal cholesterol. The same person has tendency to form clots. The same person has diabetes. Diabetes itself predisposes to blockage of the blood vessels. The same person has hypertension. Then as we get to this process where we are moving from low affluence to high affluence, where people are more sedentary, you get more younger people getting those heart attacks. And they are coming more because we are getting more overweight. We are getting more hypertension in younger people. We are getting more diabetes. We are getting more tendency to form the clots because of that sedentary lifestyle and the obesity. And this is something which we call it epidemiological transition. When a country is changing from poverty-stricken to affluence, where we are affording everything, everybody is in a car. These motorbikes have not even helped us at all, because when you want to move from your house to the bus stop, you are taken by a motorbike, which you can hire with very little amount of money. And we have taken that exercise is not good, and all that is contributing. So I'm sure we have answered the question on what is heart attack, why young people are getting heart attack. Then we have to talk about now heart failure. And heart failure is actually one of the diseases we have for people with cardiovascular diseases. And heart failure excites us a lot because it is something where you can do so much. And as I mentioned in the introduction, we say that heart failure is weakness of the heart as a pump. And what is the most common cause of heart failure in Kenya? It is high blood pressure, which is not controlled. What happens is that when you have high blood pressure and the disease doesn't pain, people don't have motivation to take medicines. It has even been shown in Western countries that half of the people who have been prescribed medicine for blood pressure, they are not taking within a year. Kenya, we are even worse, because some people miss them because, one, they cannot afford those medicines. Two, they have not been educated properly. Three is that they are just ignorant. And especially our gender males, we are even one who are hit more, because many of us just resist things, we oppose things without any reason. And so the control of blood pressure in this country is very, very poor. And that pressure below 130 over 80, people who have pressure, remember what I say, the statistics that at the age of 40 years, 20% of people at that age have pressure. At the age of 50 is 30%. At the age of 60 is 60%. And if you live long enough, you get high blood pressure. So pressure is so common, it's so prevalent, but the target pressure we are reaching, actually study done in this country, probably we are only able to reach that target of 130 over 80, the ones below 60, or 140 over 90. In only 10% of the people. The 90% are not control to the target. When you don't control the pressure to the target, the heart starts getting tired, it starts being weakened. The example we give is that when you have even somebody who's doing gym and you build your muscles, the muscles become weakened because of the exercise. When the pressure is high, the heart is straining, the heart muscle become weakened. But the weakening of the heart muscle in somebody who is having high blood pressure not controlled is the heart muscle weakening with scar tissue, with a lot of fibrosis, scar, and that scarring makes the heart muscle weak. So with the time, then people with heart failure, they start presenting with leg swelling, shortness of breath. Many of the times when they lie flat at night, they are forced to sit up in bed. Is a condition we call paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea. That is when you are short of breath at night, you are forced to sit. When you lie flat, you are getting short of breath. And even coming from one flight of stairs to second floor, you are already short of breath. There are those ones who get short of breath that they are even short of breath at rest. So heart failure is a heart muscle which is weak, that the pump is not doing it, is not pumping the blood well. The heart as a pump does 5 liters in a minute at rest, may go up to 20 liters in a minute on exercise. And when you're not able to pump that blood effectively, then you say you have heart failure. The symptoms of heart failure are the ones we said are shortness of breath, leg swelling, you lie flat in bed, you are coughing, you are short of breath. Even sometimes the shortness of breath may occur just coming from the sitting room, the toilet, you are feeling very breathless. Of course, there are many medicines you have available for that condition. As I said earlier, there's polypharmacy. We even talk about something called 4 pillars that people with heart failure, we tell them there are 4 pillars used for your weak heart. And we educate them so that they know that over time we are going to put all of them. We want to introduce all of them like the time we see them. But it's a long journey, and a journey where eventually people with heart failure, they go through stage 1, stage A, stage B, stage C. Stage C is when they are presenting to us. They go to stage D when they are actually refractory, that the medicines are not working, and the things are very, very difficult for those patients, because that is the time now you have to treat them like they are terminal cancer. Very difficult disease for us. I hope that is exhaustively answered what is heart failure, what is heart attack. And cardiac arrest, of course, they go together. Cardiac arrest is also something very common in us. And when you say somebody has a cardiac arrest, it means the heart has stopped working. And when you say cardiac arrest, it means somebody has died. So even if you got a road traffic accident, the end stage of that road traffic accident, when you lose a lot of blood and you have a lot of injury to the body, is the heart stopping. So that is cardiac arrest. If you have a heart failure, when the heart stops, that you are not going to pump at all, that is cardiac arrest. So the ultimate end of our lives is when the heart stops working, the heart fails completely. It doesn't pump at all. It has stopped, and that is cardiac arrest. Heart has stopped working. And you have only 3 minutes after cardiac arrest to be shocked if the heart, the problem you had is shockable. After 3 minutes, the brain is dead and you're actually gone, and you are going to go to the Lord. Any other questions, Zainab?
Yes, we have so many questions, Daktari. We can take up in regards to the aspirin. And that high blood pressure patients are given aspirin for blood thinning. So someone is asking if it's really advised to take it or are there any side effects in regards?
Yes, I think that's a very important question because it's something we see very common. Even people, when they measure the pressure, they see very high. The first thing they do is take aspirin. When they think they have a chest pain and there's a heart attack, they take aspirin. The aspirin is, you can be able to see the screen, Zainab.
Yes, I can see the screen, Daktari.
Yes, so we can see the number, the ABCD of primary prevention. And we said primary prevention is when you work on the risk factors so that people don't get the first heart attack or a stroke. Aspirin is mentioned here, and in the past, maybe 30 years ago, we used to advocate the same way, like we say after the age of 55 male, 60 female, we want as much as possible people to be on a medicine for cholesterol. In the past, what used to be given was aspirin. But studies have shown that when you're giving aspirin in somebody who has never had a heart attack or a stroke, has no documented blockages of the blood vessels due to the cholesterol, aspirin harms and benefits you because of the risk of bleeding. And you have seen people even coming here, they have been told to take aspirin. I remember a case here, of course, I'll not mention the name. Somebody came and was told by her daughter who is in US, take aspirin, it is good for protecting the heart. And then the person came with now bleeding in the brain, and he had what we call chronic subdural hematoma. We had to do surgery of the brain and move the clot. And many cases we have where when you use aspirin, the risk of bleeding occurs. So that the indication of using aspirin is those people who already have a problem. If you're using it for preventing the problem for coming, the risk of bleeding outweigh the benefit. And we don't use it anymore for what is called primary prevention. People who don't have already heart attack and stroke, the risk of bleeding outweighs the protection, and so we don't give it that way. The worst of it is when you use aspirin in somebody who has very high blood pressure. Even the time we are using aspirin for people who have had a stroke or a heart attack, you want to give it when the pressure is controlled, at least below 160 over 100, because some people may come, as I said, even people with a 250 over 140. Those type of people, if you put an aspirin because they need to say they have had heart attack, one of the treatment we give in casualty is actually aspirin 300 milligrams at once when we see the patient. And if the pressure is already very high, that aspirin would actually cause likelihood of bleeding in the brain. So that aspirin, even when we give it when the pressure is controlled. The same thing as exercise. If you have a pressure of 250 over 140, and some people say, no, instead of me using the medicine, I want to use exercise because I'm normal, feeling okay. If you start exercising when the pressure is very high, because exercise itself raises the pressure a little bit also, that pressure may reach a threshold where you rupture a blood vessel to the brain, and then you get a stroke or a bleed in the brain. So the same thing as exercise, aspirin should be given when the pressure is controlled. Exercise should be initiated on people who are doing exercise as part of general health when the pressure is controlled. That's why it's important that even before you start the exercise, ideally after the age of 40, you should have a medical checkup to make sure that it's safe for you to exercise. Otherwise, you may go there to try to prevent those heart problems, and then you collapse and die because the pressure was very high and you have blood in the brain. Another question, Zainab.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Daktari. You have mentioned quite a bit on high blood pressure. One of the viewers has commented. What do you have to say about the low blood pressure? What is the treatment? Any prevention?
That's a good question. Also, is a very commonly asked. Normal, the blood pressure follows those ones who have done statistics. We did it in high school, and many of us I know have done statistics. Blood pressure follows what is called a normal distribution curve. That the average people are in the middle. What is known for the blood pressure is that when the pressure is above 140 over 90, damage of organs start occurring. And those ones who are even at high risk, like those ones who smoke, people who are diabetes, people who have sedentary lifestyle, who are overweight, even at 130 over 80, you start finding the damage. And that's why you see we are changing the target to 130/80. Pressure which is high above 130/80 causes damage to the brain. And in fact, the most common damage to the brain is that one of memory. You get dementia, but you may get a stroke, where the strokes are two types, where you get blockages of the blood vessel due to the cholesterol that we call ischemic stroke, or even the pressure is very high, you can get a bleed, like the way we say those people who bleed, and even aspirin predisposes you to that. And the pressure when it is that high, the damage to the organs occur, all of them, the brain, eyes, heart, kidney, and the blood vessels. And that occur because of the high pressure. What about the other side now? The way we know it is that when you have low blood pressure, if your pressure was high and then it comes low, this is very common thing we do even in ICU. When you're taking patient to ICU, many of them are taken there because the pressure is low. And this usually is the end stage when you have a heart failure. When the heart is reaching the point where it's reaching the end and is failing, the pressure tends to be low. And the pressure which is low, by definition, is when it is less than 90/60. 90/60 is very low blood pressure. But what we know is that there are people even who their pressure is 80/55 and or 80/50, and that is their normal pressure. Just the same way we have seen in life, and we give this example to people when they ask us that question. You have seen in life some people are very short, others are very tall, but those ones who are very short, they still marry and get children. The same way that low blood pressure, there are people who are just normal that way. That is their normal pressure. Fortunately, when the pressure is on the lower side, unless it is coming from that you are 130/80 and then suddenly change to 90/60, that pressure is tolerated well and doesn't give problems. But those ones who pressure is now high, like even you are say 140/90, and then suddenly comes to 90/60, your organs will not be perfusing, you'll be so unwell, you'll be required to go to ICU. But if that is the way you have been all the time, that is your normal, just like those short people, the way they are, it is normal for you, and nothing needs to be done about it. You tolerate it well, and you continue your life that way.
Thank you, Daktari. On that, low BMI, any causes, any issues? Or
Yeah, BMI,
we're just
of
okay?
course, yeah. BMI, we talked about it, is very important question, and very interesting. The science is known, and we really love our scientists because they have given us all the information, and they have done the studies. And the Western medicine, we love it because when you know something you are so excited to share with everybody else. And as who are just working and clinician, when you go to those conferences, we learn and get everything else. Now, let us look at heart failure. Heart failure, when your weight is high, when you have heart failure, it tends to be that your outcome is better. And the reason being that when the heart failure is present, those same chemicals we talked about, the ones which you release from the fat in the abdomen, are also released in a weak heart, and they cause a lot of problems. People with a BMI less than 18, actually it is a pointer for them to be actually evaluated and known why. They are, of course, the same way they say we talk about the blood pressure. There are people whose weight is just that way, and that is them in their normal distribution curve, and they are happy that way. They try to gain weight, they can't, because the more you don't have, even the little is taken away. That is Jesus Christ who was talking about that in the Luke's gospel. Those ones whose weight is on the lower side, they may make so much effort and they don't gain it. But what we worry about is a change of weight. If you are always that way, your BMI is 17, you've always been 17, you are a model that way, stay that way, don't worry about it. But if your BMI is 26, and all of a sudden you are now come to 19, then you have lost weight. Unless it's a deliberate weight loss, that should be evaluated. And there are many diseases which present with weight loss. Diabetes is a typical example. Thyroid diseases, cancers present with weight loss. And so when you have a change, that's the time you should worry about. But that one who is always trim, has tried to put the weight he can. People think that there are even those bad diseases which sometimes you have to really just educate them that is not what you have, your friends and relatives. They should not worry about it and should remain that way. But a loss of weight more than 5 kilos, 3 kilos, when it is unintended weight loss, should be investigated. Is a pointer for you to see a doctor, and the way you investigate. And sometimes when you do that, we see a lot of diseases, we pick them, and it's a pointer that you need to have a medical checkup. I think you
Okay.
may, I'm still waiting to go and work, sign up. So maybe now you can ask the last one. Not that I fear questions, we can answer them. These are lay questions and good to educate the people. But I'm sure now the queue is piling up. My girls are knocking the door to ask, when are you coming out to see patients? So we can have the last 1 or 2 questions.
All right, thank you very much. There is a question in regards to intermittent fasting. This mostly happens for us ladies, or you find that we want to take the easiest way out instead of going to the gym. So there is something to do with the intermittent fasting, and we want to know, is it really healthy to practice intermittent fasting? And also, does it expose our body to having low sugars, and can it lead to diabetes?
Yeah. I think that's also a very good question, because that's a way people even do to help themselves lose weight. And the way the human body is made, as I say, there are people who have done research. They have even shown that if you just take water only, you can survive up to 2 months without food, because you have a lot of muscles the body can use, and the body systems are so well refined in themselves to survive. And when you are not even taking any food, unless there are special circumstances in you where the body is able to extract the glucose from your muscles. And so you cannot get low sugar because of starving, because of fasting. Unless, of course, those people who take a lot of alcohol, the reserve of the easier sugar immediately you use when you are starving is stored in the liver, and the people who take alcohol, sometimes there is no store. But a normal person, when you do your intermittent fasting, you actually don't have risk of having the sugar. And intermittent fasting is known to work. Yes, it reduces the weight, but people who are doing it need to really be very disciplined people, because we know self-discipline is a challenge for all of us. That is doing what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel it like not. You feel like it or not. That is self-discipline. Many people don't have it, because the way the weight is, if you are like that person I presented here in the end, the big girl, when you have weight at that level, your body has like a thermostat. It has a set weight for you, and that weight for you is whereby if you do intermittent fasting, and we see it very often here, even when you see patients, we give them the diet. We tell them you must reduce this weight. If you reduce that weight, we give you a little bit of time, because your pressure is not very high. We can give 2-3 months and see whether the weight can come down, and whether the pressure will come down, because your pressure is only at 140/90, 150/100. We can wait a bit, and they do their best, and they do their fasting, they do their exercise. But because of the concept of the weight and that statement we put here earlier, that more of what you have, more is added, you find that people who do that intermittent fasting, because their weight has a set value, which is like a thermostat. When you set a temperature in your room, when you do your fasting and fast for a whole month and even lose 10 kilos, the body has such strong forces to take the weight back to where it was. It's such a strong force that you find even your ability to burn goes down, when you find that you are even eating without being cautious about it. And if the discipline is not right, you do your intermittent fasting, you lose 10 kilos. Within 3 months, you gain another, you get to 15, because the body has these very strong forces to compensate for what has been said for you. So intermittent fasting can work, but it works on people who are very disciplined, who are able to sustain what they have done. But of course, on the positive side is that when the weight becomes very lower for a prolonged period of time, then you set your thermostat to a lower level, that now your force of maintaining the weight is at a lower level, and then that way you are down. But in the beginning, the weight loss which you get, many people regain it in 3 months, 6 months, they gain more than what they had lost, because of those forces of trying to maintain the weight to where it was before, and then over exceeding even what the set mark was. Another question?
Yes, you can ask. I guess this is the last question now, Daktari. Is there any relationship between hiccups and diabetes and hypertension? And how can you prevent it?
No, hiccups is, we actually say in medicine, we say that hiccups is irritation of the diaphragm, that boundary between the chest wall and the abdomen, and the irritation on it will cause the hiccups. And there are times when you get hiccups because of also the abnormalities of your chemistry, like if your sugar goes very high, kidneys level goes down, go up, And also when you have even those acidity problems, they are not really related to the diabetes per se. And there is a pointer for that, diaphragmatic irritation. At least we have medicine we are able to use for it. There are people even who have seen coming here that they have intractable hiccups, and it continues. And we have tried to even get our digestive system doctors to help them. There's a very rare disease, and these one or two people we have seen who have that intractable one. But the ordinary hiccups which we get in the ward when people have derangement of those chemistries, a drug called baclofen, another one we call Lagactil, helps, and they just give 1 or 2 dosages and doesn't occur again. They just occur, I think, randomly rather than they are related to those particular diseases, and they're easy to manage. The ones who are getting intractable one usually is because there's a problem of that diaphragm and relationship to the esophagus and the stomach interaction at the level of the tube between the esophagus and the stomach. And those are very rare things, and I don't think we need to worry too much about. But simple hiccups, there's a way we give it, and sometimes even 1 dose is enough to clear it.
Thank you so much, Daktari. We have so many questions, but I think time is not on our side. Kindly tell our viewers where they can locate you, how
So
they can reach you.
Yeah, we are accredited by APA. We see APA patients, and we are located at Anderson Center, Nairobi Hospital. We are very loud here because, as I say, we work 6 doctors in one clinic, and we have we of course people get challenged by our queues. We have tried to manage them by giving appointments, but sometimes we still get challenged, and sometimes we always find that only the ones who are able to wait we are able to see, because sometimes the patients are so many. But when the patient come to see us and they enter to a room, we give them the best shot. And many of them, when they have even waited for long, they just say the waiting was worth a while. But the challenge comes because also when we see the patient, we say the one in front of us is the one who is the problem. And we want to make sure that they come out very healthy, very well, regardless to how many are waiting. And we always say the ones waiting can always look for other alternatives, but the one in front of us has now got to get the best shot. So we are there, we are available, and we do our best.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Just before I release you, I've seen one more that is asking, does donating of blood reduce my chances of getting blood pressure and heart disease?
That's what? Donating what? The question I didn't get.
Donating of blood, when you are donating your blood, does that reduce your chances?
No, that one doesn't. I mean, you are probably what probably may do for you is that part of the positive emotion when you are kind to other people. When you are kind, probably now you release those chemicals to your blood vessels the same way we do exercise. But the donation of the blood itself should not either make you have blood pressure or low blood pressure. Unfortunately, if you are known to be hypertensive, I know they are rejected, because obviously if they already are strain on your heart, and then the pressure, you remove that 1 liter, it can cause more strain. So when you are donating and you are screened the right way, it is regardless of your pressure. Of course, when the pressure is high, they will not accept you.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Unfortunately, time is not on our side. We have very, very, very many questions, Daktari. If we were to cover all of them, we'll be here the whole day, and I know your patients are waiting for you. So we'd like to request our viewers kindly reach us on our email address, and we'll be able to send you the recording on share with us on wellness. Our email address is wellness@apainsurance.org, wellness@apainsurance.org. Our WhatsApp number is 07200720 600 577. I've posted it on the chat, and then we will be able to reach out to you so that we can be able to share the recording, and you can also reach out to Daktari. Otherwise, without much say, Daktari, we are so humbled to have you here this morning. We appreciate your precious time for you trying to take us through, and I believe we have learned so much. And on behalf of our viewers, on behalf of APA management, we thank you so much. And for our viewers, on behalf of APA Insurance Management, our medical team, the department that deals with taking care of our lives, and all the Happiness family at APA Insurance. We are humbled to have you this morning, and we are grateful, and we wish you a lovely weekend ahead. Please remember what we have learned, and let's take care of ourselves as we remain happy, and may God bless you. You may live at your own pleasure. Daktari, thank you so much.